Hello friends, in this session we are going to learn about the typecasting. So we have two types of typecasting, implicit and explicit. So let's see the first, implicit typecasting. So for this I am taking one simple example. So I am declaring one variable integer a. So this is the integer data type and variable is the a, and I am taking one more data type, character data type, and the variable name is b, and float value I'm taking one more data type, float c. So these three things. So I'm adding some data. Suppose a is equal to 10 and a character b, so I'm assigning some letter. Okay, next time for the float c equal to 12.5. okay, so this is three different variables with different data types. So what I'm doing is, so let's see. So I'm adding one more variable, integer d. Okay, it is a empty variable, nothing is there. So here d is equal to, so I'm adding a plus b. See, in this line you can observe. So what is a integer, so what is a b is a character. So but I am adding integer plus character. Okay, so these two again it is going to assigning to the d. What is the d? Integer. So what is the answer? So let's compile and run. So before that I am using one print statement to know the answer. So printf percentile d, because this is integer, right? So d value, yes. Okay, right. So I have to put the double quotes here, this one, double quotes, yeah. So I'm compiling, so there is no error. So I'm running this application. See, this is 107, the value is 107. Why? Because the ASCII value of a, so ASCII value of a is 97. Okay, so 97 plus 10, so 107. So the result is 107. Okay, suppose if I am doing like this once again, d is equal to, so c plus b. So I'm adding here float and character. So I'm commenting this one. So what will happen? Let's see. So answer is 109. So why 109? Because 197 is a value. Okay, 102 because 12. What is the 12 remaining? Is the 12.5. So integer. So that's why it is taking 12 value, not 12.5. So because that's why d is equal c plus b means 109. Okay, so you can observe here. So this is nothing but implicit typecasting. Okay, so implicit typecasting means it is the compiler is automatically converting the data type so into the integer. So here, so what is the b? B is a character, but implicitly it is converting into the integer. Okay, see here, c is the float, but implicitly converting into the integer. Okay, but we can also convert the explicitly. So explicit, sometimes we have to, so particular data type. Okay, then we can use the explicit typecasting. So let's see. For example, if I am writing here integer a is equal to, okay, right, this one is integer, this one is no problem. So b is a character, right? So I can use the explicit like this, int. So I can mention like this. So this is nothing but explicit, because the user is wantedly, wantedly change this data type into integer. Okay, so let's run this application. So it is also returning the same answer, 107. Okay, so here also, so I'm commenting this one. So you can also change this float c, so you can also change it to integer, integer data type. So this one also I am explicitly changing integer. Okay, so let's run this. See 109, same answer. So in this way you can explicitly you can convert the variable data type to some other data type. Okay, so I hope you understand this one. So we can go to the next topic. So that is nothing but recursion. So I am deleting this one. So what is the recursion? So recursion is nothing but a function calls itself. Okay, simply the definition is a function calls itself. So how can we write the code for recursion? Okay, let's see. So what is the recursion function will work? So I am using one method, one function, try recursion. So I am using one. So this is the user defined function I am writing. So I am passing some value, 10 value. Okay, so I can implement outside of the main. So here I am writing try recursion. So it is taking some integer, right? So integer x. Okay, so I am writing. So this function has to return something. For example, integer something I am returning. Okay, integer. So this one. So here, for example, I want to print some lines depend on the condition. So I am putting one condition if x is greater than 5. Okay, so again I am using brackets. So here I am writing print statement, print. Okay, so here I am printing hello and I'm also adding this num x value also. So let's see, because I want to know how many times it will be coming. So this one and x value. Okay, see here. So if x is equal greater than 5, so 10 value I'm sending, so it is always true. So I have to reduce this x value, right? So what we are doing regularly, what we are doing in the for loop, so we are using the x minus minus, right? So instead of that we can use the, again we can call this function. Okay, this is nothing but recursion. So how can we call? Let's see, try recursion. So we have to pass some value, right? So what is the value? X minus 1. So here what I'm doing is I'm decreasing the x value. So again I'm calling this function. So these both are same, right? So it is calling itself. Okay, so again it is going here with the x is equal to, now what is the x value? 10. Now it is become 9. Again it is coming down. So 9 is greater than 5. Again it is printing hello. Again it is going up with the 8 value. 8 7 6. When it is comes to 5, 5 greater than 5, no. So until unless it will be executed. So this is nothing but a recursion. Okay, so let's compile and run this application. See, this is the answer. Okay, hello 10 9 8 7 6. But we can also achieve same code, same output by using the for loop. Okay, otherwise we can use the while loop, any iterative. But the thing is some problems may be solved by the recursion only. So we can also understand the recursion option, recursion how it works. So that's why this simple example. So I hope you understand this problem. And if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you friends.